Alright, so I'm in theory, and I think I gave you pages 24 and 25 last week. Definitely pretty sure that I gave you the D 5-finger scale for you to practice writing that. And notice you do have to write the letter names as well as the notes, and the F should have a sharp on the left of the note. Hopefully you've already done that part. Marked your whole steps and your half steps, because remember I told you for a major 5-finger scale, we keep that pattern of whole, whole, half, whole, that you can start on any note, and if you make those steps happen, you'll be able to make a major 5-finger scale. I hope I gave you the next one, but if I did not, it's pretty much working with D chord. And remember, when you look at the chords, sometimes they're going to be written like at the top, sometimes they're going to be blocked. They're easier to read when they're blocked. I know, I think that. But sometimes they're going to be broken, and you just have to kind of envision what would it look like if I took those broken chord notes and I smushed them together and stacked them on top of each other. So work on that. It's not just all D chords, but you're working with chords, and some of them are going to be this new D chord. This week I'd like you to add page 26. It goes with our spring song. It's a little bit about Vivaldi. And there are two things to do. And you'll need to make sure you're paying attention to what the clef is for each of the little measure segments. So up a fifth, down a second, you're going to, I was reading the first two. So in blue above each one of those, you have an interval that they want you to write. So you're going to write the next note. For instance, if you're looking at that first one, you have a bass clef A, and it says up a fifth. So you should write another whole note on this space E above that, because that would be up a fifth. And then what they want you to do is they want you to put those letters of those notes into this story. So actually that would say Antonio's father was and you keep going. So you'll have to figure out the intervals. I mean, you're probably smart enough you could guess the words to the story, but work on writing the note names for me and practicing. You just use whole notes. You're going to practice writing these intervals up and down. At the bottom, notice it said Vivaldi wrote over 500 concertos. A concerto is a piece for one or more instruments that's accompanied by an orchestra. And he was quite the composer. Actually, I think he was a priest, if I remember correctly. And he was called the Red Priest because he had red hair. And his job as a priest was to oversee an orphanage for girls. And so he taught the girls how to play violin, and much of the music that he wrote so that they would have things to play. So the story goes. I don't know. Anyway, you can always Google Vivaldi and learn more about him on the internet, or you could go to the library and see if you have I would think that he's pretty famous. I would think that they would have a library book on him. So, the other thing I'd like to do is you can do the rhythm treble on your own, lines A, B, and C. Figure out some of them have the incorrect amount of beats, and it's your job to be the detective and figure out, looking at the time signature at the beginning, figure out how many beats each measure should have, and then put an X through the ones that don't have the correct amount. But I'd like to do the listening with you. This will be our last thing that we do on your video lesson. And what we're doing is we are trying to figure out these different rhythms with eighth notes. And Ranger's going to have to be quiet. You're going to have to be quiet, because otherwise Miss Lizzie won't be able to hear. And so you're going to notice there are 6 problems, and there's an A or a B. And your job is to try to figure out if I'm playing A or I'm playing B, and then you'll circle. All you have to do is really circle the letter. Let me put him out so I can get this done. You're being too noisy. Alright, I'm back. Sorry about that. I don't know that I've ever had to do that during a video lesson before, but he was not going to cooperate. So, one of the things you need to do before I play is look at both of the measures. And the best way to do these kind of ear training activities is that you figure out where's the first place that they're different. So for instance, if you're looking at 1, you can see that they're different right there in that second beat, because on line 1, rest, and then on the bottom one I play, and then I put the rest. So those little details, like I see number 2, they've shifted where the 8th notes lie. So if you look at the 2 lines first and kind of see where they're different, then when I play it, and normally I'll play them 3 times, but since we're on a video, and you're usually pretty good at this kind of thing, I think I'll just probably play them twice. And then if you didn't get it after the second time, just push pause and rewind. That's one of the joys of doing a video lesson. So, all right, so here's number 1. You're going to circle, am I playing A or B? Let me do it one more time. And the answer is B. I'll give you enough time if you have to push pause and go back. But I'll usually put a little gap and then I'll tell you what the answer is. Number 2. And again. And the answer is A. Number 3. And again. And the answer is A. Number 4. And again. And the answer is B. Number 5. And again. And the answer is B. Had the 8th notes first instead of on the second beat. They were on the first beat. And your very last one. And one more time. And last but not least, number 6's answer is B. Yes, I know I made a whole bunch of B's. I don't normally do that, but I thought it might be fun for today. So there you go. All right, that ends your video lesson. If you have any questions or problems, don't hesitate to have Mom text me. Otherwise, I will see you next Monday.